I need a fire.
It's April, no fires.
Oh, it's cold. Cold.
You can have a fire again in October.
Gosh. Binks, are you going to get in my lap? Binks wants a fire too.
He probably does. All he does is turn upside down beside it and sleep for 12 hours if I build one.
Turn the camera over.
Oh no. This might get bad.
Binks, go on. Go on. Get out of here. Go, skedaddle.
How's that? Is that alright?
That's alright. Now that we've got the cat corralled away from the camera, it really is cold today. This is dogwood winter. It was in the 30s when we got up. There's a cold wind blowing. And probably be a big frost tonight.
Yeah. It's probably will, yeah, if the wind lay down.
It's kind of windy, Irish wind. We tried to do this outside and it was...
One of us chickened out.
I said, I'm too cold. I can't do it out here. We was going to go in the greenhouse. It was too bright in there, so...
I could do it while eating a popsicle and being sprayed with a water hose.
Oh, gosh. That would be cold. That would be cold. So today we're going to answer more of your questions. Your inquiring minds want to know. We're going to answer a few more questions. We thank you to everybody who submitted questions, and we've been answering them for several videos. So we can link to that in the description below in case you missed those first ones. Did we ever have chicken pox? Did you have chicken pox?
I did.
Can you remember it?
Yep. I remember I was kind of covered up with it, but it didn't really bother me all that bad, but I got out of school for days, and that I liked.
You like that?
Yeah.
I had chicken pox, but I don't remember it. I had them. Steve gave them to me, and I was just real little, and I wasn't very sick or anything like that, but I just know that I had them because Granny told me that I did, but I don't remember it or have any scars or anything like that. Some people have it bad enough to where they itch and have scars left.
Mm-hmm.
What about the measles? Did you have measles?
No, I don't think I did. I don't remember that. If I did, I'm pretty sure I didn't have them.
No, I didn't either. Were you ever really sick, like at some point in your life? Did you have?
Like gravely ill?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've been sick felt really, really bad and had viruses and that sort of thing, but I've never been...
We've not. We've been very healthy,
Right.
mostly. So when you were sick when you were little, did your parents use old-timey remedies or modern, like medicine?
Yeah. It's all, for me, it was all mostly modern stuff. If they could coax me into going to the doctor, most of the time I wouldn't go. And they didn't really force me to unless, I had a broke bone or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was one time I had a broke bone and I had to coax them into taking me because they didn't believe it.
Didn't believe it.
But the next day they could look at it and tell how bad it was and said, yeah, we got to take him to the doctor.
So for Granny and Pap, I'd say a mixture of both. We definitely went to the doctor if we were sick, but also there were the remedies, just simple ones from gargling salt water to homemade cough syrup, those kind of things. Just all the ones that probably your grandmother and your mother did. Granny and Pap would do those too, but we did also go to the doctor too. Do you have a favorite bushcraft knife? That's almost an impossible question to ask Matt.
Yeah, gosh, it is. I've got bunches of them, and I don't know. I like a little something about all of them. That's why I've got them. Would imagine my very favorite one would be, I have a WC knife that's the Master Woodsman Skinner. And it's a little, I don't want to say oddball, but I think I don't see it like on his website as much. I mean, I think you can still get it, but you would probably have to contact him to get him to make it. But I found it on one of his. He has dealers also that he just makes knives and sends to sell, and that's where I found that one, and I bought it, and just something about it I really really like. Mostly it's not really not even a bushcraft knife. It's a like a skinning knife, but it works well for both. But it has an unbelievable edge retention. I mean, you just almost can't dull it, and you know, most knives aren't that way, and I don't know what he does to make it that way, but it's unbelievable how much you can use it without having to. And I've never sharpened it. All thing I've ever done is just lightly honed it since I've had it, and it's never had a sharpening, and that I really really like.
We have several videos where Matt talks about knives. If you've, I can put them in the description below. You may have already seen them, but if you wanted to check them out, we can
Now
do that.
that's up to this point. There may be one that I get later on that that I like better or whatever,
Yeah.
but so far that's my favorite one.
Okay. Some food questions. What's your favorite cake or cake flavor, or I guess just cake? What's your favorite cake?
I guess it would be a chest cake that you make.
So I have a recipe or a video about that, sharing that recipe. You probably may already know about it though. Some people call it the ooey gooey butter cake, but it is good and it's easy to whip up and take with you somewhere. I like it because of that. Do we like other food, like besides the traditional Appalachian fare that we enjoy every day? But their examples was Mexican, Thai, Indian, or Italian.
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah, I like all that. I like almost all food anyway. There's just very few things that I don't like or won't eat. But I've had all of that, and parts of all of it I do like. Yes.
There was a place in Asheville, and Miss Cindy still lived in Black Mountain, an Indian place that she really liked. She took you there a lot. You and her liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it was way different than anything I'd ever eaten up to the point that I ate it, and most everything I did eat there, I did like. But it was way different than what I was used to, but I liked it.
As far as I've had people ask too, that like, what do we ever cook stuff like that? I mean, you know, we eat. I might make tacos. I don't know if you really think if you really consider that Mexican or not. And of course, we do spaghetti. I might make lasagna every once in a while, or baked ziti. Matt likes that.
Oh yeah, I love that.
But mostly what we cook is the things you see in our videos. Is mostly.
I had and I'm not real familiar with Thai food, but I did have in a Thai restaurant one time a dish called coconut shrimp, and it was out of this world good. And I went back there one more time, I think, after that, and ordered the same thing again, and it was that good again. And then I don't think I've ever been to another one since then, and that's been going on 20 years ago.
Was that with your mama too?
Yeah.
Miss Cindy liked exotic food, or exotic to mountain people like us. Maybe it's not to other people, but to us.
Yeah, ravioli's exotic to us, ain't it?
Yeah. What about a favorite fish? Do we have a favorite fish to eat? My answer to that is any. I love fish. I would rather have fish, like thinking about freshwater fish or even saltwater fish. I like fish better than I would like steak or pork. I hate to say that, but I do love fish. Yeah.
Yeah, I love fish.
I love fish. I love seafood, and I love fish.
My favorite would be crappie or crappie, according to what part of the country you're in.
We have people, one time somebody in one of our videos, is funny, said, I really like your videos, but tell Matt he doesn't need to try to really pretend or ag on like he's country. We know he is, so he doesn't need to say crappie. I'm like, but that's what it is. It's a crappie. That's what we call, in this area, it's called a crappie.
Yeah.
But we know in other places it's not. And that's okay. That's fine. But it was funny. They thought Matt was just like trying to really sound country by saying crappie. It's been a long time ago. But I was like, no, it's just really how people say it from here. That's just how we say it. I didn't even realize you said it the other way, that some people say crappie. I never heard that. But that's okay. It's just so many words are said differently in different places.
But that's my favorite fish to eat. I like walleye awful well. I mean, it's right there with it. But
that was Pap's favorite, was the walleye.
But we don't have access to it as much, and
I like trout. Matt don't like trout as much as I do, but I love
I like it
trout.
all right, but
love it.
it's way better fish to eat than that as far as I'm concerned. I love catfish, but crab, really good fresh fried crappie's hard to beat for me.
We like, what is it your daddy gets from his friend down there, white bass?
No, it's crappie.
Is that crappie? But didn't he give us some white bass one time, the kind you soaked and soaked and soaked?
Yeah, I think he did, and it was good.
Yeah. And then how do we cook it? If we cook fish, we fry it. Yeah.
Deep fried and rolled in either flour or cornmeal.
Mixture of both, but I like cornmeal the best. Usually just kind of a mixture of the flour and the cornmeal. I got to have the cornmeal, the little nutty crunch on it. It was always, when I was growing up, that was like one of our favorite exciting meals, and everybody got excited about it. If Pap and Steve and Paul went fishing and they brought home fish, and we got to have fish and French fries and slaw and hush puppies, that was just like we were living like kings, you know, just the best. It was just the best. We all loved it. Everybody did. Yeah. So it's still one of my favorite meals. Let's see, I'm going to go back to the food. I forgot what I was doing. Do we eat tomatoes and macaroni? Several people have asked this. So we don't. But we're going to, because I'm gonna finally make it and see what we think about it. So that's like a traditional recipe you find throughout Appalachia. The only connection I have with it is that when Granny makes her soup base, she always made, and still does, she cans tomatoes with a little bit of okra in it and corn. And then to make her soup, very simple, she would stew potatoes and onions and then pour that soup in it. And when I was growing up, she always added macaroni. Always added a handful or two of macaroni. So that's how the only connection that I have to it. But a lot of people, or the traditional recipe, and some of you shared your recipes with us, is really just the macaroni and the tomatoes with sugar in it, so it's sweetened. I don't think it's sweetened to the point it's like jelly or something, but it does have some sugar in it. And I'm going to try it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm going to try it. Okay, so we'll let you know about that. Do you have a favorite way that you cook deer meat?
Yes.
My way is every way Matt cooks it's my favorite. I love it.
My favorite way is to cook a tenderloin whole, or half a tenderloin, but not sliced, just whole, and marinate it, and either cook it over wood fire or charcoal, and cook it nice and rare. And that's my favorite way to eat it.
I love it cooked all night. I love it fried. I love it since Katie's had the weird diet. Matt's been frying it some with like garlic and stuff instead of like breading it like I like it breaded, but that's good. I want him to make this again. He made it, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'd like for him to do a video and share it. But he made it where Katie could eat it, but it had a gravy on it. Austin and Corey ate with us that night. It was so good. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So tender and so good. And we put it on, I think we put it on rice. Oh my goodness, it was so good.
It'd be awful good with mashed taters.
It would be good with mashed potatoes, but I like it anyway Matt fixes it. And we have several videos on deer meat, and Matt talking about it, cleaning deer meat and canning deer meat. I like canned deer meat too. That's the easiest because you just pour it out of the jar. And we always can some. Well, yeah, the works. You do the work, up front, and then on the back end, that's the easiest because you just pour it out of the jar, and it's really good too. I really like it. So I can link to those though. Do you have what's your favorite ice cream?
Growing up, it was always chocolate, and I hated and would not even consider eating vanilla.
Oh, really?
Now I've kind of swapped.
You like vanilla better?
I like vanilla bean flavored, or if we make homemade ice cream with our homemade vanilla that we make. Now that I really like.
Yeah, that's good. I guess my favorite is chocolate. I don't eat it very much though.
Well, I don't either.
But I like chocolate. But and then what's our least favorite? What would your least favorite ice cream be?
Strawberry.
Strawberry, yeah. I'm not big on strawberry ice cream.
I love strawberries, but I don't like strawberry ice cream.
I was going to say sherbet. I don't like sherbet much. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just not one I would pick, but I guess strawberry too. I'm not crazy about strawberry. I'd take the chocolate or the vanilla over strawberry.
What about push pops?
Push pops. When we were young, and me and Paul, when we were little, we get to go to the store sometimes with Granny or Pap. We go to Doris Jean's store over in Martins Creek, mostly is where we'd go, and that's what he would want, a push pop. He'd get a push pop, and I would get a Nutty Buddy, like an ice cream Nutty Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He loved the push pops, so I can't never see them or think about them that I don't think about Paul with his push pop. That's what he liked.
I would always get the push pops. I mean, I got them a lot when I was young. And when you first get them out of the whatever kind of freezer thing they had, you just have to push and try to get them to come out. And then a few minutes later, they would melt a little bit, and you'd forget, and you'd push and just push the whole thing out on the ground.
No,
that happened to me. I don't know how
that's
many
sad.
times.
That's terrible.
And I have been known to eat it off the ground.
Well, as kids, for sure, you wouldn't want to, if you didn't get to, we didn't get treats often, so we sure wasn't going to let it waste.
You just have to fight the ants and the bugs for it.
Yeah.
Not just
pick the dirt out of it or
Yeah.
the leaves or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I was trying to skip around to get all the food ones now. I've got to figure out where I was at. Favorite music genre other than traditional mountain music? What's our favorite music genre?
What's yours?
I guess classic country.
Yeah.
You know, Merle and George. And
Mine
all
would be
them.
about that same thing,
Yeah.
but kind of a little more pinpointed. Mine would be mid to late 80s and early 90s country music.
Yeah.
Not the stuff now,
No.
but that, about a 10-year time span there is what I like the best.
Yoakum and Alan Jackson.
Yeah, and Merle and all that.
Yeah.
Some of Merle's later stuff, that's to me, his voice it changed. It got a little more mellow or deeper or whatever, and he was just really good.
Have we ever driven on the Blue Ridge Parkway?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that's where we spent a lot of our courting.
That's where we went the very first day we met, was from my daddy's house to the Parkway
Yeah,
and rode around.
yeah. That was big back then, riding around.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah, we spent a lot of time on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I think it'd be great to do the whole thing. We've never done that.
No.
But in that area, for sure. Spent lots of time on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Hadn't been there in a long time, but
No.
back then we did.
No, we should go back sometime. Does Matt have a Henry rifle?
I do.
And does Matt like the Henry rifle? What do you think about them?
I like them fine. I think the one I've got's not real new. I don't know, I can't speak to how they are today, but always in the past they've been very well made and really, fit and finish is really good, and the action cycle really smooth. What I have is as odd as this is, I don't have a big bore Henry rifle. I have a little 22 lever action, but it's a youth model, and I come about it from a guy that I knew that I worked with, and he had bought it for his wife, and she got sick, got cancer, and she never got to shoot it. It had never been shot. She passed away, and he sold it probably about half price to me, and it still had the tags hanging on it, so I bought it because it was so cheap. And it's a little short and a little small for me, but I can shoot it, and it shoots fantastic, but I've kept it for these boys. One of these boys it's going to be hidden. It's not been shot much, but it's going to belong to one of these boys here in the near future.
How did Matt make our countertops? If you've noticed our black countertops in our videos.
Yeah, don't look close.
They're nice. I love them. And we've had them a long time now.
They've been on there about 10 years.
Yeah, 10 or 11, 12 years.
They're just made out of cabinet grade oak plywood is all it is. And I built, there's kind of a funny story behind it. Actually, when we did the kitchen, I actually bought or had countertops made, and I broke them trying to get them in.
Just for Micah, just like what we had when we first moved in. We just was getting a different color was all. And they were going to be black too. We're redoing the kitchen.
Well, I broke them trying to get them in, and what I did to break them was very, very, very
Oh, yeah.
minimal, and that made me mad. So I drug them out in the yard and kicked them out in the backyard and let it rain on them, and said that's the end of that. And I told her I'll go get some plywood and make them. And I think she thought to herself, "Oh goodness,
No.
what's
Well,
this
I
gonna
sure
look
didn't
like?"
want them. They were so cheap.
Anyway, I bought the plywood, which at that time was, I mean, it's pretty expensive, but it's probably double that now, but it didn't take much of it. It only took 3 sheets to do all of it. But I just built a jig to cut it on so that it would be real good, straight, square cuts. And did it that way, and fastened them together with biscuits and a biscuit joiner and glue. And then fastened them to the actual cabinets themselves with, I just made little brackets out of wood and drywall screws, and that's how I fastened them to it. Made the backsplash out of the same plywood, and then just put molding on top of it and molding out on the front edge all the way around, and then just sanded it and stained it and sealed it. And the sealing process took a while because there's so many coats on it, but once we got it done, they've been pretty durable.
Oh, they've been real durable.
I did the same thing at Corey and Austin's, but they don't have near the amount of coats of sealant on them, and it's beginning to come off.
Yeah,
So
they need to. We didn't get, because they were in such a hurry
Right.
to get moved in.
I think
You
there's
get to
about 3 coats on theirs, and ours got probably 8 or 10.
Yeah.
And then once that many coats was on there, it probably took it a month to cure
It
after
did.
that. But
And
once
that-
it did, it's
Right.
good and hard.
And the little boo-boos that are on it, Matt was talking about, if you see, is because of us using it before it was, because we were living here, so like there's some little areas, like one of them's where Matt was trying to open a jar, pushing down real hard. I finally, after that, I think I got some like little thin, they're supposed to be cutting boards, but they're just plastic, like thin, and
Just little roll
just
up
laid
boards.
them everywhere until it, and we then I was like, let's do whatever we're doing, do it on top of that, not necessarily cutting on it, we didn't cut on it, but just anything we were doing, setting stuff, we just set them on it.
But then once that stuff cured, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it is. I love them. I wouldn't want anything else. I love them. Considering, not that I don't think other things are pretty, but considering the price of them, they're functional. I'm about being functional, so I love them because of that. Do the girls remind Matt of me when I was their age, and if so, how?
Maybe a little bit in looks, And all 3 of you are quite fetching.
Oh, well, thank you.
But there's little bits of mannerisms that are a little bit like you, but mostly not. To me, I don't know if you think that or not. Especially the one upstairs here, she does look a little more like you than Corey does,
She
I
does,
think.
I think so.
But now
Katie looks like the Wilsons.
all her mannerisms and her are more like me. A little bit of a little quick tempered here and there once in a while. And you're not like that at all.
No. Someone asked us, and Matt could never remember to do it. So today I was like, you got to go down there and do. So I'm sitting by the stove and freezing. Matt didn't build me a fire, but he did come measure it. Somebody wanted to know how to measure it. So it's 33 inches long, and that, bless your heart, you probably, if you was going to build a stove, already built it, and we messed you up. We apologize for that. But 33 inches long, 18 inches wide, 18 and a half inches tall, and then that little step-up place is 24 and a half inches tall.
Yeah, it's 18 and a half tall at the door, and then back at the stovepipe, it steps up and it's 24 and a half tall.
At that point, okay. And sorry it took us so long to do it. Have we ever thought about having a screened-in porch? We've not. I can't see us ever having one. If I'm outside, I just want to be outside.
Ain't no need in having one now. Them boys, they'd tear it all to pieces.
Yeah, well, true, but I don't know. It's not something we've really thought about, but I don't think it's something that we would ever do.
I built a couple for other people. I built one for Mama, and then I built one on a house we built years ago, a big screened-in porch. And gosh, that was a nightmare to build to me because it's tedious, and I like to back then I liked to frame and make a showing at the end of the day, and it was just hard to do doing that tedious stuff, and I didn't like it, but we did get it done eventually.
What is your favorite color?
Mossy Oak Bottomland. I don't know.
All those colors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't never. It's funny. I don't think of colors as something I look at and say, I like that color.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
My mind don't work that way. I've bought multiple vehicles in my life and just
Could care less about what color they were.
I bought it for what it was and the
Yeah.
price and the mileage. And it don't make any difference what, as long as it wasn't hot pink or something.
Yeah.
I've ended up with 3 or 4 white vehicles, and I used to get asked at work a lot, why do I like white vehicles? And I said, I really don't. I mean, I don't care.
You just what come your way and what you liked the actual vehicle. You didn't care about the color.
Yeah, it's just not something that I ever think of as color. I just don't.
I guess my favorite color is brown. It's just kind of boring, but brown, earth tones, all the earth tones is what I like, but brown if I had to pick one. Now, I used to say red, but I've changed, I guess, over the years. I used to always say red was my favorite color, but and I do like red, but I like brown better these days.
I can tell you a color I don't like.
What?
At one time, we had a kitchen that was Ford blue.
Yeah, it really was.
And it was not just the blue, it was like a sponged type blue, but it was Ford like a Ford tractor blue with the sponge and stuff in it. And I don't ever even think about it now until I see an old picture or something of it and think, my goodness, I remember that.
And ain't that funny how I'm the one that done that. I did it. I loved it. And now I can't imagine that I wanted a blue kitchen. I just can't even imagine it. It was right when we moved in. I just can't imagine.
It was weird too because we had like a real pale light blue countertop.
Yeah.
If you could call that blue,
Yeah.
almost a bluish gray. And I mean, it didn't look horrible. It was just weird.
It was just, yeah. I don't know, but I did do it. I've painted our kitchen though. It's been red before, and I really liked it when it was red. I had it red. That was my red phase.
Mm-hmm.
I like the yellow that it is now. Sometimes I'm tempted to paint it. It needs to be painted just because it's scuffed and stuff, but then I'm like, well, I don't know.
I used to come home from work and you'd be painting half the house a different color and I didn't know it was coming and I'm thinking, what's going on?
I know. I just like to redo stuff. I don't do that now, but I used to back then. I would just get something and get a bee in my bonnet and decide I was going to repaint or redo the bathroom, or I'd have Daddy up here helping me put up wallpaper or something.
We had wallpaper in the kitchen one time.
That was when it was red. We had checked wallpaper around the cabinets.
I'm glad that's gone. I think part of it's still there. Because we took it off, or was trying to take it off, and couldn't. Some of it we couldn't get it all off.
Yeah.
And then we ended up putting the
beadboard.
The little beadboard backsplash around between the upper and lower cabinets.
Yeah. The last time that me and Matt tried to redo anything was the kitchen. And like he was saying about the countertops, what we realized was, like when we first moved into our house all those years ago, we bought really, and we hurt ourselves in a lot of ways. We went with the cheapest of everything. Like the windows were terrible and they went bad immediately. But what we found out remodeling was like the cheapest stuff that we bought back then was way better than the cheapest stuff than what we could afford today. Like those countertops cost so much more than those first ones we had, but they were so much better. They were so much better made.
Right.
So, and we found that out with the ceiling fan. And anyway, we found out a lot in the kitchen. And we said, I don't want to. I said, I don't want to redo nothing else. Let's just keep what we've got. At least it works. At least it works. I would like to repaint some stuff, but I don't know when.
Music to my ears.
Yeah, Matt's like, that sounds good to me. Let's just leave it. I think we just got two ones left. So the first, I put these two together because they're kind of along the same lines. Do we believe in ghosts or in spirits? So, you go ahead.
I don't believe in ghosts at all, no. No, there is. I don't know how deep you want to go with the spirit side of it, but
I believe in spirits in a biblical manner.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And
I don't believe that there's lost spirits roaming the earth and can't get to where
Like
they're going.
ghosts,
I don't
yeah.
believe that stuff. No.
yeah, I do believe there's unexplained things that people can't figure out what happened,
Right.
and it doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
I
And-
do. That is correct.
Yeah. And then the other part of that question was, of course, and if we, have we ever experienced anything like that? I've certainly never experienced seeing a ghost or what I thought was a ghost or anything. One thing made me think of that was sometimes if you ever have, like your instincts tell you something's not right. Like that feeling, that eerie feeling when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up at attention and you're like, something's not exactly right. Now maybe that's a place or maybe that's a person. Me and Corey a few years back was at this place, and people we were talking to we knew real well, really liked them, they were great, still love them. And somebody that they knew come and was talking to them. Well, then he naturally just kind of started talking to me and Corey, and just chit chat stuff. But I don't know what it was. It's just something, I don't know. I mean, I hate to be like that, but just immediately all the little hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I just felt really uncomfortable and like I needed to, and nothing was said out of the way or no aggression or anything like that. And so me and Corey just kind of went off, I just kind of kept getting Corey to go, and we went on and was looking at some stuff, and then he did what he was doing and he left. So then, he was gone. And kind of we forgot about it for a little bit, but then on the way home, Corey said something about it, and she felt the same thing. So that's the weird, sometimes there's something like that. Now, am I saying I don't think he was a ghost, but was he a bad person? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Why did me and Corey feel that? Those are the eerie things like that.
Right.
I remember one time, I remember exactly where I was at, and it's probably been 10 years ago, but in Murphy on the street, and I was just walking in broad daylight, lots of people around, nobody, nothing scary, no dark alleys or anything like that. And I walked by somebody and I felt that same thing. They never looked at me, they never acknowledged I was there was no aggression, but it was just like this feeling of, I don't know, the presence of evil, I guess. I just don't know.
Yeah, and I've had that a time or two, and I think the Lord gives you that for a defense mechanism to warn you, tell you to, get away, steer clear of those kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I think.
I've told this before in a video, so you may have already heard it, but another thing comes to mind like that. This is many years ago too, and Miss Cindy had come out here for a visit, and we love to go yard selling. I love to thrift stores and yard sales and all that, so we decided we was going to go to yard sale, and we were just riding around. It's on Saturday morning, and maybe we knew where one or two was, but then we just ended up riding around looking for yard sales. So we found one up towards Andrews, and it was at this big old house, and as soon as we pulled up, and there was a lot of people there, lots of stuff spread out, lots of people, roaming around looking, and I was thinking, because of the old house, like maybe there'll be some canning jars or a quilt, or something. And we got out, and Katie and Corey was probably, I don't know, tween years, maybe 12, 13, something like that. And me and them kind of went one way, and Miss Cindy and Matt went another way, and we were looking at everything, and I just got this terrible feeling, eerie, and then I thought, I bet somebody's in that house, and they're looking down, like in the upper stories, and that's my feeling. And I looked up there and didn't see nobody, but I just felt like, and then I thought, well, I'm being silly too, this is broad daylight, beautiful day, lots of people around here, everybody just, doing their own thing. Anyway, and then I noticed that Corey and Katie had followed Matt and Miss Cindy, and they were going to the car, and I thought, oh, well, I don't really say nothing anyway, so I went and I got in the car, and of course I wasn't going to say nothing about how I was feeling. And we were going down the driveway, and I don't remember if it was Matt or Miss Cindy one, they were up front, and I was in the back with the girls, said, well, I'm glad to be gone from there. And I was like, oh, you felt it too? And so then we started talking about it, and Corey and Katie didn't feel anything, but me and Matt and Miss Cindy had all felt something. And Miss Cindy said, there's something bad that's happened there, or there's something bad that's going to happen there, is what she said. And I don't know, it's just weird that we all was like, we got to get out of here, know. And I thought I was just going to look up and there'd be somebody watching me, and that was the kind of the feeling, eerie feeling. But so, I don't know. I guess what we're saying is, yes, we believe in spirits, and the presence of evil being around, and of course, certainly the Holy Spirit, God's Spirit, but not necessarily ghosts.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting to think about all those things, though, and those eerie stories like that. Of course, when you're young, you read stories or hear ghost stories and scare yourself. Well, you probably never got scared, but that was a favorite pastime at slumber parties for sure. And then this last one goes right along with that, and you may have heard this folklore too, is that if you're out in the woods, in the mountains of Appalachia, and you hear somebody call your name, you should ignore it. You should not answer it. You should, because of it being likely evil spirit trying to entice you in. That's just like old folklore. I don't know, Matt, have you ever heard that?
I've been out here in the edge of the yard and heard my name called, and maybe next time I won't answer.
So maybe the key to that is know who it is calling you.
It's all according to who it is.
Or how many people's with you in the woods, or if you're alone, Yeah, Matt hears, Matt!
Yeah.
Hey, Matt! Are you out there? And he says, what? Usually.
Maybe next time I won't answer, and I'll just go on about my business.
You say, well, I thought it was the evil spirit. I didn't know it was you, Tipper.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've heard that my whole life, and heard that you should ignore it, that part. And again, I would say, well, if I was with Matt and Corey and Katie and I heard somebody yell at me, and maybe we were exploring or something and they were around the bend, then I would answer it. But if I was totally in the woods alone and I heard somebody, then yeah, I might just ignore it and try to get out of there.
Well, I look at stuff from a common sense perspective, and some of this stuff I've never heard like that.
Yeah, I've heard that my whole life.
Or I may have heard it and forgotten it.
Or you may have heard it and thought it was crazy, so you didn't care about it.
But I look at it like, since I didn't know anything about it, if somebody hollered my name in the woods, I would probably answer them, and probably have in the past more than once, and I've lived up until this point. Nothing's happened, so it's probably going to be all right.
Well, again, if you're with your dad or you're with somebody and they yell, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
I will share one of those eerie experiences about that. And I knew I'd wrote about it on the Blind Pig and Acorn, so when I wrote down that question, I went and looked. So back in 2019, Pap died in 2016. I was going to work one morning, so I had my little lunch box, had all my stuff, and I went out, and I remember the cars parked right out here outside the basement, and opened the car door, and just to get in the car, and it was just as plain as day. I heard Daddy, I heard Pap, I heard him yell, Tipper. It was like he was in the backyard, and I about like fell down or something. It just startled me so bad. And I just sat there and I started shaking, and I thought, and it wasn't like he was upset or anything, like it was so natural. It was just like he was going to say, hey, Tipper, bring me a bucket. I'm going to pick some corn. It was just so calm, so natural. And I was just all shook up, but then I thought, well, and so I went on, Corey and Katie was here. I left and went to work, and then I thought, well, trying to make sense of it, like, well, was he trying to tell me something? Maybe is something wrong? So I called Matt, and he's like, oh, I don't even remember. I probably didn't tell him that I heard Daddy. I probably just said, hey, how are you? Or something. I don't know what I said. And then I called Granny, and they were fine. But as far as they knew, everybody else was fine. There was nobody upset, And then I thought, well, it's so weird. What was he trying to, all day I kind of felt weird or like something was going to happen, but nothing happened. And then after that, I finally decided, well, it was just my mind, and how wonderful that my mind has his voice like that to where it could call it back up. And that I thought I heard him, how it's like, I think of it as little filing cabinets in your mind, how it's in there, his voice, and even the tone of it, like he just needed me to bring him something, like he would have, like he yelled my whole life at me, Tapper, come up here, bring me this. Anyway, so that's my one experience with somebody yelling my name, but I was not in the woods. I was in the driveway about to get in the car, so strange. But I love how our minds can do that every once in a while. I'm a big dreamer. I dream every night. I know some people say they never remember their dreams, and I don't remember all of them, but I certainly dream every night. And ever so often, I'll dream that Katie or Corey, or sometimes both of them, that they're little again. And I can feel them. I can feel the way their little bodies felt when they're sitting in my lap. I can hear their little young voice, you know. I see their hair, hear their laugh. It's just the most precious thing. But all those things live in my brain. They're in those filing cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wonderful how you can, how your brain can call those things back up in dreams. And
I will say that if I hear somebody call my name in the woods and I think that it sounds like they might possibly be the game warden, I won't answer.
you for sure won't answer that one.
I'll just stay quiet on that.
You could always say, well, hey, my grandma told me if I ever heard somebody call my name in the woods, I wasn't supposed to answer. Our evil spirit was coming after me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we sure hope you enjoyed our questions, our answers today from your questions. And we appreciate all of you who asked the questions. And we're kind of still flabbergasted that anybody would care what we thought about anything or what we liked.
Yeah, it is weird that, I mean, it ain't like we've got, the only answers we got, or only answers I have are probably not very intelligent.
That's what I'm going to say, kind of pitiful and lacking. Our answers are to your questions.
But we'll answer them best we can.
Right, and we sure appreciate each and every one of you. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.